Hi, Art Seekers. We are here with Hanksy, someone seriously that I've loved for years and years. So thank you so much for chatting. So how did you start to see the street as your canvas?
I've always been a fan of street art, and I was in Banksy and whatever. This was, maybe 5 years ago. It's right when it was right at the pinnacle of like all this success, and I was writing an article, and I really liked Tom Hanks and Banksy. Oh, this is funny. I said Hanksy, LOL, and then I decided, well, this would be even better if I drew up a little graphic and then put it in the street. And that was just strictly for like my friends and I to laugh about. But I ended up doing that, and I hadn't drawn anything in probably about 10 years. Like, I always wanted to be an artist. I always wanted to grow up and be an artist, but like art class in high school, like made me despise creating art. Yeah, it was really a random thing, and I hadn't drawn or painted or done anything in about 10 years until I moved to New York, and that was the first image and thing I'd drawn and put it up on the wall, and that was that. I didn't think anything more. I didn't have these large, grandiose plans to do this for my life or anything. But someone took a picture, and then that went viral, that image, and then I just kept kind of going with it and like letting the snowball build and see how far I could take it. The thing about street art is that anyone can do it. You put it on the street, you put it on a wall, and the public's forced to have this interaction, whether they despise it or they roll their eyes or they take a picture and send it to their friends. It's out there, and it's not covered by like a ceiling or the gateway of the gallery doors, and it's just like, it's for everyone, and that's what I initially kind of like really drew me in.
How do you think that social media affects your work, changes your work, and maybe enhances your work?
It really like blends the worlds together and like different areas and locations and people doing really sick art in Europe or in South America or the West Coast, East Coast, whatever. So you don't have these distinct styles in these certain pockets anymore, but still it's really sick. Like, I was a 13-year-old kid in the Midwest, and I had Instagram, and I can see that the graffiti that they're doing in New York. Like, I think that's rad as heck, as heck.
So Midwest. How is your work evolving to become more mature?
When I first started, I had never done a wheat paste or a stencil, or I hadn't drawn or done any art or created anything visual in years. I had done 10 years of trying to be a creative. I dropped out of law school, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a writer, and I was a musician, and it was 10 years of me throwing creative shit at a wall, just waiting for something to stick. And this was the first thing that really kind of stuck, and I enjoyed it, and it just made me, like, opened up my mind creatively. If I look at what I was doing 5 years ago and to what I'm doing now, it's like, I think I've changed and grown a lot, and I just want to keep going with that. When I started doing like the surplus candy stuff and all these like kind of more elaborate projects or space takeovers or whatever, I think it's me trying to just break out of this mold that I created. I recently released some material from that, and just looking back, maybe I'm a little drunk or when I'm watching it, I'm a little stoned, but I'm just like, what the heck was I doing? I'm just this fucking idiot from Wisconsin, and like to watch these videos, and just under 3,000 people came that night in 3 hours. Like, what is that? Like, blows my mind. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing.
I remember that whole day I was so stressed out, checking my Instagram every second. I'm like, what is the address? And I'm never late to anything, and so the thought of being late to that or waiting in a line was just devastating. My heart was beating. So I think you really tapped into something.
Yeah, well, it's just like hyper transitory thing, and then like everything is so well documented these days, and things live on forever in the digital world. So to have this hyper transitory event, and it's something very resembles like just street art in general, like it's there one day and gone the next. Like if you don't see it, you're fucked. It's this one moment that existed, and I just think that's something really special.
What does working with VR do for you that working on the street alone doesn't?
I have this real fascination with something being rooted in reality versus rooted in reality but displayed in virtual reality. Take transitory shows and make them last indefinitely. It's first of its kind. I think larger institutions, museums, or any big galleries, they should have been doing this for a couple years. That's the way we're going. can't believe it. They had to wait for some dumb street artist like myself to do it. Once you get the technology in the hand of creatives, it'll really start pushing it forward into like kind of mind-melting things, you know. So we'll see. I mean, I might do something in Basel this year with virtual reality.
Or Art Basel.
It's Art Basel, yeah.
So funny.
So stupid, but yeah. But
I wonder, is there any tension for you between just the natural energy of street art that is by definition ephemeral and then kind of capturing it forever with the VR?
Times are changing. Bobby D was right, you know, like they gotta evolve with it, you know. So I just see like the virtual reality as another kind of canvas, you know, like it's just another form. And before there was Instagram, there was just this, there was Polaroid or like, you know, film cameras, and then before the film cameras there was just the street. So then social media, and now it just keep going with it.
Is there an overall takeaway message that you hope people will have when they see your work?
What is it? It takes like one muscle to smile and like 50 to frown, like a bunch to frown, you know, like just smile, like brighten the day up, enjoy it a little bit, you know, like nothing has to be so serious all the time. I'm so fucking lucky to be where I am right now and to have this as my full-time job. Like, what world is that, you know? So, if there's a way that I can, I'm not gonna say give back.
I knew you were gonna say that.
There's a way I could just give back. Like, no, come on. It's just if there's a way I can give back.